Maybe you're feeling this right now, a strange restlessness, as if something were moving behind the scenes of your life, even though, on the surface, everything seems the same. This is no coincidence. This video crossed your path for a reason. It's as if the universe has fine-tuned every detail so that you are here exactly at this moment. Because something big is about to happen, and before it manifests, you need to understand the signs that are already appearing, even if you can't decipher them yet. You know those cycles that seem to repeat themselves, those situations that insist on coming back, almost like a test. They're not there to punish you, but to make sure you're ready to walk through the next door. And when you feel like you can't take it anymore, it's actually because you're closer to the new than you think. Sometimes all it takes is a single message, a phrase, or even a video like this to trigger a turning point. When this happens, it is no coincidence. It's synchronicity proof that there is an invisible order behind the apparent chaos. Today you will discover how to recognize these signs. And once you understand what they mean, your reality will never be the same. Imagine yourself in a dark room, and suddenly a crack of light shines through the window. At first, you only notice the contrast. But as your eyes adjust, you begin to see new shapes, new colors, details that were previously hidden. This is the nature of awakening. A gradual expansion of vision until you can no longer be content with what was previously visible. It is at this point that life demands courage, the courage to step through the portal and allow yourself to be transformed. And here's the fascinating part. This movement doesn't begin outside, but within. You perceive the signs when you're willing to listen, when you accept that the universe may be speaking to you through symbols, encounters, and even silences. And it's precisely in this listening that you realize your reality isn't fixed, but malleable, shaped by what you believe and what you feel. It's at this point that the bridge to a new perspective emerges, where even modern science helps us understand this mystery. If you stop and think about it, life is a lot like a grand quantum experiment. Nothing is truly defined until you choose to look at it from a certain angle. It's as if all your desires and possibilities are there, in a state of superposition, waiting only for the moment of your conscious observation to collapse into reality. This means that in a way, what you focus on comes to life, and what you ignore dissolves into the invisible. A simple example. Think about when you start considering buying a car of a specific color. Suddenly, that car seems to appear everywhere. It was there before, but you didn't notice it. This is a vivid metaphor for how attention shapes your reality. Quantum physics calls this probability wave collapse. In essence, it's you telling the universe, this is what I choose to see. This is what I want to bring into my experience. And see, this idea doesn't have to sound distant or complicated. It already happens in everyday situations. When you vibrate at the frequency of something, your mind opens to see opportunities, people, and ideas that would otherwise go unnoticed. It's as if there's a fine tuning between you and what you desire, an alignment that transforms potential into presence. The vantage point you choose not only reveals, but literally creates the reality you experience. But there's a catch. We often get caught up in the anxiety of when and how, and this need to control each step ends up preventing the wave from collapsing naturally. Life demands more trust than effort, because just like in a quantum experiment, It's not brute force that defines the outcome, but the quality of observation. The universe responds to the clarity of your energy, not the weight of your demands. And this is precisely where an essential principle comes in: surrender. Just as particles are in no rush to choose a state before being observed, we too are invited to let the flow of life take its course. Instead of trying to hold the reins of everything, true power arises when you surrender and trust that there is a greater intelligence directing the paths. You know, when you plant a seed, you don't dig in the ground every day to see if it has sprouted. You trust. You trust that nature has its own intelligence, that the rain, sun, and soil will do their part. This is a powerful reminder for our lives. We often spend so much time trying to control every detail that we forget to trust the invisible process happening behind the veil. The mind, accustomed to certainties, wants immediate answers. When will it happen? How will I know? Will it work? But manifestation isn't born of anxiety. It blossoms in the space where you let go of attachment to the outcome. It's like cooking a meal. You follow the recipe, put the ingredients on the stove, and at a certain point, you just need to let the heat do the work. Flavor is built with patience. Surrendering to control doesn't mean passivity or giving up. On the contrary, it's the deepest form of trust. It's recognizing that there's a universal intelligence that knows how to align the pieces much better than our limited minds. Just as rivers naturally meet the sea, our intentions find their way when we stop forcing them in directions that don't make sense. Life always knows where to flow. When we cling too tightly to the how and when, our energy becomes tense, and this rigid state blocks the natural flow of creation. But when we relax, something curious happens. Unexpected doors open. People appear along the way. Opportunities appear from unlikely places. It is in this space of surrender that the extraordinary is allowed to happen, without you having to exhaust your strength trying to push the river. And as you experience this trust, you realize that the universe is not indifferent. It responds to your inner state, to the quality of your surrender. The more you let go, the more signs appear, the more clarity emerges, and events begin to take on an almost magical fluidity. It's as if life suddenly reveals itself to be just waiting for you to make room for natural movement to unfold effortlessly. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called entanglement. Two particles, even separated by vast distances, remain connected, instantly influencing each other. This is a powerful metaphor for understanding our desires. When you feel something intensely, your consciousness becomes entangled with that possibility. It's as if a part of you is already experiencing it, even if your eyes can't yet see it. The problem is that we often desire from the energy of lack. It's like holding an empty glass and only seeing what's missing. This vibration generates more scarcity, because the universe responds not to what you ask for with words, but to the internal state from which you ask. When desire comes from lack, the message sent is, "I don't have it," and it's precisely this frequency that returns. Now, when you shift your perspective and begin to feel as if you've already received, the energy transforms. It's as if the cup, though still empty to the eye, feels as if it's overflowing internally. This subtle shift generates a magnetic field of attraction because it ceases to be a desperate request and becomes a natural expression of who you already are. desire ceases to be emptiness and becomes abundance in motion. Think about when you walk into a room with someone who is genuinely happy. Without them saying anything, you feel their energy. It permeates the room. Similarly, when you vibrate at the frequency of receiving, the world around you begins to organize itself in response to that field. People notice, opportunities present themselves, and the flow of life adjusts to your vibration. This entanglement is like a silent dance between you and the universe. There is no separation, no delay, just a harmony that grows stronger as you move from the energy of lack to the vibration of abundance. And it is in this invisible movement that another essential aspect begins to reveal itself. Time is not human, but divine. Sometimes it feels like life is on pause, as if everything is at a standstill, and this can be distressing. But what we call delay is often just divine timing working behind the scenes. Think of a play. Before the curtain rises, sets are being assembled, actors are preparing, lights are being adjusted. Outside, the audience sees only silence. Inside, everything is in motion so that the scene unfolds at just the right moment. It's common to want things to resolve themselves at our own pace, but there's wisdom in waiting. This waiting isn't absence, it's gestation. Just as a baby needs 9 months to form, there's also an invisible cycle that prepares people, opportunities, and paths before anything manifests in your life. The universe's time doesn't follow the human calendar. It follows the coherence of the natural order. And when we look back, we realize that many delays were actually synchronicities. How many times have you only found the right person, the perfect opportunity, or the answer you needed after learning something essential while waiting? It's as if life is saying, wait, it's not the right time yet. Trust, because I'm preparing something bigger than you can imagine. This confidence gives way to serenity. Instead of fighting the apparent slowness of events, you begin to realize that the interval between desire and manifestation is full of subtle signs, small encounters, coincidences, phrases that reach you. They all form a mosaic that announces that the stage is almost set. The pause is not empty. It is full of intelligence in motion. And when you tune into this vision, anxiety gives way to gratitude, because you understand that each invisible step is aligning the gears of your desired experience. It's in this state of trust that you begin to realize that time is not an enemy, but an ally. And as this perception matures, you naturally connect with the idea that everything is also frequency and vibration. Everything in the universe vibrates. From the chair you're sitting in to the thoughts running through your mind, everything is moving at specific frequencies, and emotions are no exception. Love, joy, and gratitude vibrate so high they seem to light up an entire room, while fear and doubt drag our energy down as if we were walking around with rocks in our pockets. If you've ever walked into a room where everyone was tense, you know how that energy weighs on your body. Likewise, when you approach someone who's radiant, it's almost impossible not to smile along with them. This shows that vibration isn't just an abstract concept, it's a practical experience. Your emotional frequency works like a magnet, attracting situations that resonate with how you feel. Therefore, cultivating high vibrational internal states isn't just a matter of well-being, it's a conscious choice of alignment. Something as simple as being grateful for the small details of your day can shift your heart rate. or dancing to your favorite song when you feel the weight of your routine. These small practices elevate your field and create coherence between mind, body, and spirit. Science has already shown that the heart possesses a powerful electromagnetic field, capable of influencing not only the body but also the surrounding environment. When you vibrate with love, your presence becomes a silent reminder to those who cross your path. It's like tuning a radio station. If you turn the dial to fear, you receive noise. If you turn it to gratitude, you find a clear melody. And it's at this point that you begin to realize that it's not just about feeling differently, but about acting from that state. Because when your frequency is aligned, the action that emerges is light, inspired, almost effortless. And that's where the contrast between acting with the flow and pushing against the current becomes clear. You've probably felt the difference between acting lightly and acting under pressure. When action is forced, the body feels heavy, the mind gets tired, and even after much effort, the results seem to be lacking. It's like rowing against the current. You move, but you expend excess energy to make little progress. This is the hallmark of action born of anxiety, fear, or the need to prove something. Now, when action is inspired, the feeling is completely different. Ideas seem to flow, connections happen without you having to chase them, and even challenges become easier to handle. It's as if you're sailing with the wind at your back, using the force of the river itself to keep you going. In this state, you don't need to force anything, because there's an invisible harmony guiding every step. Inspired action doesn't mean the absence of effort, but rather effort without exhaustion. It's when you feel pleasure in doing something, even if it requires dedication. It's like writing something you love, cooking for a loved one, or immersing yourself in a meaningful project. The body may tire, but the soul expands. This is the difference between pushing a boulder up a mountain and sliding downhill on a bike. And this inspiration arises naturally when you're aligned with your highest frequency. That's why often there's no point in trying to force a decision or rush a process. Silence, pause, and even contemplation can be more productive than acting blindly. Because when clarity arrives, the simple gesture you make opens doors that previously seemed locked. When you begin to experience this dance between effort and inspiration, you realize that life never required excessive sweat, but rather harmony. And at that point, everything takes on a new logic. Progress no longer seems accidental and becomes inevitable leaps, the result of an accumulation of energy that transforms into sudden change. Often, life's most profound changes seem to happen suddenly. One day you feel like nothing is moving forward, and the next a door opens, an opportunity presents itself, or clarity washes over you. But in reality, this sudden leap is the result of energy that has been quietly building up until it reaches a tipping point. It's like water that, after being cold enough, instantly freezes. This idea connects to what science calls quantum tunneling. Particles pass through barriers that, in theory, would be impossible to overcome. On a human level, this translates into that moment when you overcome something that seemed insurmountable. What once seemed like a rigid limit dissolves, and life shows that there was a path beyond the barrier the mind insisted on seeing as definitive. Think of a caterpillar inside a cocoon. From the outside, it appears to be completely inactive. But inside, a revolution is taking place. the entire structure of the being reorganizes until, in an instant, a butterfly emerges. How many moments in our lives resemble this cocoon? Silent on the outside, but full of invisible movement, preparing a new way of existing. And when this transition point arrives, nothing is ever the same again. The old structure no longer serves, and the new presents itself as inevitable. This is why so many people report that major changes came after periods of crisis, chaos, or silence. What seemed like stagnation was actually the accumulation of energy necessary for a phase shift. This process reminds us that every rupture brings with it the opportunity for transformation. And in this flow of rebirth, one detail becomes clear. It's not enough to simply wait for the leap to happen. We must assume a new identity for the change to take hold. One of the biggest illusions when it comes to manifesting something is believing that simply wishing intensely will make everything happen. But desire alone doesn't sustain transformation. The true turning point comes when you begin to embody, in the present, the identity of someone who already lives what you desire. It's like putting on a new outfit. At first it seems different, but soon it fits your body and becomes part of who you are. This identity shift isn't just mental, but also emotional and physical. It's about training your nervous system to feel safe in the face of new things, to not react with fear when something bigger begins to approach. Often it's not the dream that takes so long to arrive, but rather we who take so long to become capable of receiving it. Life responds not to what you want, but to what you believe yourself to be. Consider someone who decides to become healthier. It's not enough to simply want to be healthy. You need to start acting like a healthy person would, making better food choices, moving your body, and taking care of your mind. Identity change is this alignment between desire and action, where every gesture, no matter how small, reinforces the expanded version of yourself. And it's curious how, when you embody this new identity, things seem to fall into place naturally. People who vibrate on the same wavelength appear, ideas that were distant begin to come closer, and the universe seems to conspire to validate the version you've decided to uphold. It's not magic, it's a coherence between who you feel you are and what life can offer you. It's at this point that manifestation ceases to be an effort and becomes a natural expression of your being. And this individual transformation, though intimate and personal, begins to resonate beyond you, reverberating into something much larger, which also touches the collective. Have you ever stopped to think that your personal transformation isn't just about you? We often think that our internal battles, our changes, and our achievements are individual matters. But in reality, every time you choose to heal, grow, or break an old pattern, you are, in practice, influencing the entire web of humanity. It's as if each of us is a domino, and when you stand up, you inspire others to stand up too. Imagine, for example, when someone close to you decides to free themselves from a limiting belief, it generates conversations, new perspectives, new possibilities. And suddenly that small gesture becomes a ripple that reaches far more people than you imagine. I like to compare this process to a symphony. Each person represents an instrument with its own sound, its own notes. When someone is out of tune, the whole group feels it. But when someone decides to align, to truly tune in, the harmony spreads, and other instruments naturally begin to adjust as well. The amazing thing is that this process isn't always visible. Many changes happen silently, almost imperceptibly, but they're there, echoing within the collective. It's as if we're co-creating a new melody together, even if we don't yet know exactly what the final song will be. Think of historical moments when humanity made great leaps. The abolition of archaic beliefs, the overcoming of injustices, or even the advancement of technology that connects us today. These leaps always began with individuals who dared to dream differently, who chose to see something bigger than themselves. When you choose to evolve, you become part of that same current. It's like shining a light in a dark place. It not only illuminates your path, but allows others to see where they're stepping, too. And this requires a certain courage, because it means accepting that you are not isolated. Every thought, every choice, every emotion you cultivate is fueling something greater. The universe works like an intelligent network, where everything is interconnected. When you connect with this awareness, you realize that even the challenges you face have a collective purpose. Your victory can become the map for others to find their way out of the maze they're trapped in. But here's an important detail. For this transformation to truly occur, there must be a moment of apparent silence, a space where nothing seems to be happening. It's as if life pauses before revealing the next note of this grand symphony. This moment, often misunderstood, is what I call embracing the quantum vacuum. Have you ever noticed how sometimes life seems to simply stop? As if nothing is happening, and at the same time within you there's an inexplicable restlessness. This is one of the most challenging times for the mind. Because it wants answers, it wants reassurances, it wants to know if it's on the right path. But this state of apparent emptiness is actually the most fertile ground there is. It's like a pregnancy. For months you see nothing on the outside, but inside the womb a miracle is happening. The difference is that in the case of your life, you don't have a set date for birth. And that's precisely where faith comes in. Many people give up during this period because they confuse stillness with stagnation. They look around, see no results, and think, nothing's working. Maybe I should go back to what I was doing before. But it's at this very moment that the new reality is forming, invisibly, at the deepest level. It's like when you plant a seed. If you dig the ground every day to see if it's growing, you kill it. The silence, the mystery are part of the process. You have to trust, even without evidence. I often say that this void is like a bridge you have to cross in the dark. You can't see the other side, but each step you take creates a piece of the bridge in front of you. This space demands presence and surrender, because it can't be sustained by haste or anxiety. It's an invitation to let go of control and allow universal intelligence to do what only it can do. It's uncomfortable because it takes us out of logic, but it's in this discomfort that true growth occurs. During this period, old emotions may surface, and patterns you thought you'd overcome may resurface. This doesn't mean you're regressing, but rather expanding. It's as if life is clearing away the remnants of the past to make room for the new. And even though it may seem chaotic, there's an order behind it all. Every sensation, every silence, every pause has a purpose. And when you allow yourself to experience this state with confidence, something profound happens within you. Your brain begins to reorganize itself, creating new connections, as if preparing to support the new version of who you're becoming. It's a transformation that begins invisibly, but soon begins to be reflected in your external world in ways you can't even imagine. When you begin to open yourself to new possibilities, something fascinating happens inside your brain. It's as if old wires in an electrical grid are disconnected, while new pathways begin to be created. Science calls this neuroplasticity, but in practice, it's your mind learning to free itself from old habits and beliefs that no longer make sense. Think about how many times you've reacted automatically to a situation, as if you were on autopilot. Each time you choose to respond differently, you're literally reprogramming yourself. Imagine your mind is a city full of old, time-worn streets. Whenever you choose the same thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, you continue walking the same potholed roads. But when you begin to cultivate new emotions, new thoughts, and new attitudes, it's as if you're building modern, faster, and more efficient avenues. At first, these new paths seem strange, even difficult to use. But over time they become second nature, and the old ones begin to be abandoned. This neurological reorganization isn't just theoretical, you can feel it in practice. It's that feeling of sudden clarity, as if a fog has lifted, or that moment when you catch yourself reacting differently to something that previously upset you. It's not magic, it's coherence. It's your brain finally beginning to align the expanded version of who you want to be with your current physical experience. It's as if your internal software is being updated to support a new reality. And the beautiful thing is that this doesn't depend on brute force or exaggerated effort. It's a natural process that happens when you allow yourself to be present and aware, paying attention to internal and external signals. The more you consciously choose the thoughts and emotions you want to nurture, the stronger these new circuits become. It's like training a muscle. At first, it requires dedication, but after a while, it becomes part of who you are. As this new internal structure strengthens, you begin to notice something different in your life. Small coincidences begin to emerge. Clearer intuitions emerge, as if a silent intelligence were communicating with you through subtle signals in your daily life. Have you ever had that feeling that something or someone was guiding you, even when you couldn't see it? Like when you think of someone and suddenly they text you, or when you make a seemingly small decision, but it ends up leading you to a much greater outcome than you imagined. These moments aren't mere coincidences, they're like whispers from a higher part of yourself, a version that already knows exactly where it wants to go. Think of your life as a pre-recorded movie. You're living it scene by scene, but there's a part of you that's already seen the entire film. This part doesn't judge, doesn't pressure, but simply sends you subtle signals to help you make choices aligned with the ending you desire. When you follow these signals, you feel light, as if you're in the flow. When you ignore them, you often end up feeling resistance, as if you're swimming against the current. These signals can manifest in many ways. A conversation that sparks an insight, an unexpected opportunity, or even an obstacle that forces you to stop and reflect. It's all part of a silent dialogue between you and this wiser version of yourself. Intuition is the language of this connection, and the more you learn to listen, the clearer the signals become. It's like tuning a radio. At first, the sound is noisy, but with practice, the signal becomes clear. The interesting thing is that these signs often appear in the midst of chaos. In moments when everything seems to be falling apart, a small spark of clarity emerges, showing that there is something beyond what meets the eye. This is where trust becomes crucial. Even though the mind wants to understand every detail, it is surrender that allows you to move forward, step by step, without needing to control the entire path. And it's precisely during these challenging times, when everything seems out of place, that life begins to reorganize itself on a deeper level. Chaos, however uncomfortable it may seem, is not the end, but rather the sign that a new order is being built. Chaos has a very particular way of presenting itself. It arrives without warning, shattering certainties, disrupting routines, and bringing with it the feeling that everything is out of control. It's natural to feel fear or resistance when this happens, because the mind seeks security and predictability. But if we look more closely, we realize that chaos isn't an enemy. It's a sign of ongoing transformation. Just as a house needs to be dismantled before being renovated, your life also goes through periods of deconstruction so that something greater can be built. Think of a storm at sea. From afar, it seems threatening, but to the ocean, it's part of a natural process of renewal. Likewise, the turbulent moments in your life are clearing away what no longer serves you, preparing the ground for a new phase. What hurts often isn't the chaos itself, but the attempt to cling to what's being swept away. When you understand that there's a greater intelligence behind this reorganization, the way you navigate these periods changes completely. This is where trust becomes essential. It's not about pretending everything is fine, but about knowing that behind the visible disorder, there's an invisible order taking shape. It's as if life is assembling a giant jigsaw puzzle, and you only have a few pieces in hand. You can't see the whole picture, but you keep moving forward, piece by piece, trusting that, in the end, everything will make sense. During this process, it's common for old patterns to resurface, trying to pull you back into a familiar comfort zone. But if you stay present and don't let fear guide you, you'll begin to realize that even in the midst of chaos, there are small openings, like windows of light. These are the moments that show you that change isn't happening against you, but in favor of your growth. And when you begin to sustain this trust, something within you stabilizes. It's as if your identity is being rebuilt, not from the old, but from the new. This inner state creates a solid foundation so that little by little, your external reality begins to reflect this new order. And it is at this point that the daily practice of coherence becomes fundamental to consolidate everything that is emerging within you. Everything you desire to experience begins within you, long before it manifests in the external world. The challenge is that often, even when you're clear about what you want, you still identify with old versions of yourself. It's like trying to wear clothes that no longer fit. No matter how much you want to move freely, something always holds you back. The daily practice of identity coherence is precisely the exercise of putting on, every day, the version of yourself you want to become, not as a fantasy, but as a natural state of being. This means that, before expecting concrete results, you begin to consciously choose which thoughts, emotions, and actions you nurture. If you want to live an abundant life, you need to feel that abundance now, in every small gesture. It's not about pretending, but about experiencing the genuine feeling of what you want to experience. even if external circumstances don't yet show signs of it. This way, you send clear signals to your mind and to life about who you truly are. This practice requires consistency. It's not something you do once and done. It's like tending a garden. Every day you weed, water the right seeds, and protect the space from outside interference. Likewise, cultivating consistency means protecting your energy from old patterns that try to creep back in, whether through negative thoughts, people, or situations that test you. It's a daily commitment to yourself. Over time, you begin to notice subtle changes. Situations that once destabilized you no longer hold the same power. People begin to react differently to you because your presence has shifted. It's as if reality, little by little, begins to reorganize itself to reflect the frequency you hold within. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but when you look back, you realize how much you've evolved. And it's at this point that you understand, in practice, that life isn't happening against you, but responding to you. Every thought, every emotion, and every choice becomes an instrument of creation. When you stay true to this new identity, even in the face of challenges, reality inevitably begins to align with who you truly are, revealing possibilities that previously seemed distant or even impossible. Manifestation consists of recalling ancient truths of consciousness and tuning into the correct frequency. When you realize this, you understand that there is no distance between you and what you desire. Breakthrough is closer than your next breath. Everything already exists in potential, just waiting for you to align so it can blossom before your eyes. What I've come to bring you today is not just an explanation, but a reminder that you hold within you the keys that open all doors. No external force is greater than the clarity that arises when you choose to be authentic and vibrate in harmony with what you desire to experience. Receive this message as one receiving a sign. Perhaps this is exactly what you needed to hear right now. Perhaps this is the call that confirms that the time for waiting is over and that life is ready to respond to your vibration. If this message found you at just the right time, like this video, share it with anyone who needs a reminder of this truth, and subscribe to continue receiving content that keeps this flame alive. Every gesture you make strengthens this invisible bond that connects us. I'm just the messenger, and the message is clear. Everything you seek is already coming your way. Stay alert, because greater signs are yet to come. Until next time.